A truly powerful person is never the loudest in the room. He does not demand attention, and he does not display his strength at every opportunity. Instead, he understands the secret that Machiavelli hinted at centuries ago. Visibility can become a trap, and attention can become a weakness. When you are constantly seen, constantly accessible, constantly performing, you give people the chance to judge you, understand you, predict you, and eventually control you. But when you remain unseen, when you embrace strategic absence, people begin to wonder, speculate, fear, and respect you in ways you cannot earn through noise or presence. Power thrives in mystery. This is why the kings of the past rarely showed themselves, why emperors sat behind curtains, why rulers appeared only on special occasions. Their physical absence magnified their psychological presence. People feared them more because they saw them less. Machiavelli observed that when a leader becomes too familiar, too available, he loses authority. Familiarity does not breed respect. It breeds comfort. And comfort breeds carelessness. A powerful person must not be familiar. He must be legendary. This lesson applies to every part of life. Today, people expose everything, every thought, every action, every emotion on social media. Everyone is desperate to be seen. Everyone wants validation. Yet, the more visible you are, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you become, the more others can manipulate you. The more others can manipulate you, the less power you hold. The world today is full of people who show up everywhere, who speak on everything, who appear in every gathering, trying to gain value. But in the attempt to gain value, they actually lose it. People begin to think he is always around. There is nothing special about him. Machiavelli teaches that you must appear only when necessary, not when convenient. Being unseen is not about hiding. It is about choosing when to appear so that your presence strikes with maximum impact. A lion that roars every minute eventually becomes background noise, but a lion that roars once in an hour terrifies the jungle. Your silence must have weight. Your absence must provoke thought. People must wonder where you are, what you are doing, what you are planning. When they guess, they exaggerate. Their imagination becomes your power. Another truth Machiavelli points out is that people are quick to envy those who show off. When you display your success, your skills, your intelligence too openly, you activate jealousy. Jealousy is dangerous. It creates enemies you do not see. It triggers sabotage from unexpected places. But when you keep your life private, when you let people see only a fraction of who you are, you move without resistance. No one knows enough to harm you. Your strength grows quietly. Your power becomes internal, not performative. Strategic invisibility also protects your weaknesses. Every human has vulnerabilities, but a powerful person does not reveal them. When you are always present, always speaking, always socializing, your weaknesses leak out. People learn your habits, your emotions, your blind spots. But when you keep distance, when you reduce access, you become unreadable. Unreadable means unattackable. A person who cannot be understood cannot be defeated. Machiavelli would say, let people see your actions, not your intentions. And the less they see, the more they guess. Silence itself is a form of strength. This world is full of noise. Everyone talks, everyone argues, everyone reacts. But the powerful one listens. He speaks only when his words will shift the energy of a room. Most people reveal too much because they cannot handle silence. Silence exposes their insecurity. But when you sit in silence comfortably, people feel your confidence. Your calmness becomes intimidating. They wonder what you know that they don't. Fool. They feel evaluated even if you are simply observing. This is psychological dominance. People also respect what they cannot easily access. A person who is always available becomes cheap. A person who is rarely available becomes valued. This is human nature. We desire what is limited. We chase what we cannot reach. We respect what is scarce. What is scarce. The same applies to your presence. When you show up only occasionally, only purposefully, people pay attention. They remember your words. They feel your influence more deeply. Your presence becomes like a precious resource, limited, valuable, unforgettable. In relationships, too, this principle holds true. When you are always around someone, they take you for granted. They stop appreciating you. They stop noticing your energy. But when you distance yourself, even slightly, they suddenly realize your absence. They feel the gap. They remember your value. Distance creates respect. Closeness creates blindness. This is why powerful people maintain emotional independence. They do not attach themselves fully to anyone. They maintain space, boundaries, and a sense of self that cannot be invaded. Another Machiavellian idea is that power comes from controlling information when you are unseen. When you keep your plans private, you control the narrative. No one knows what you are preparing. No one knows your goals. No one can anticipate your moves. You become unpredictable. And unpredictability is the strongest shield a person can have. Opponents cannot counter what they cannot understand. Competitors cannot copy what they cannot see. Enemies cannot attack what they cannot reach. Being unseen also gives you time to grow. When you are not performing for others, you can build in silence. You can improve without pressure. You can fail without judgment. You can develop at your own pace. The people who show up everywhere waste time seeking approval. The ones who stay unseen master their craft. They sharpen their mind. They prepare silently, and when they finally appear, their transformation shocks everyone. Because people never saw the work, only the result. And the result looks like magic. Machiavelli believed that a ruler must be feared more than loved, not out of cruelty, but out of practicality. People respect what intimidates them, but intimidation does not require violence. Sometimes simply being unreadable is enough. When people cannot read your emotions, they fear disappointing you. When they do not know what you are thinking, they hesitate. When they cannot predict your decisions, they stay cautious. Your silence becomes a psychological weapon. This unseen power is not about disappearing completely. It is about choosing presence with intention. You appear to make an impact, not to fill space. You speak to shift minds, not to participate. You show your strength at the right moment, not constantly. You become like the sun absent at night, but when it rises, everything changes instantly. A truly powerful person is not addicted to attention. He is addicted to progress. He does not chase the crowd. He builds himself in solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is the environment where greatness is crafted. When you are alone, your mind becomes sharper. You see things clearly. You understand your desires deeply. You learn who you are without the influence of others. This inner clarity becomes outer strength. The unseen path also protects your peace. The more visible you are, the more opinions you attract. Everyone feels entitled to judge you, comment on you, criticize you. But when you keep to yourself, when you live quietly, you stay away from unnecessary drama. Your mind remains stable, and stability is power. A calm mind can achieve what a scattered mind never will. When you stop showing up everywhere, you regain control of your time, your energy, your identity. You stop living for others. You stop performing. You begin to live intentionally. You begin to act with purpose instead of impulse. You begin to become someone whose presence cannot be ignored, not because it is frequent, but because it is rare. In a world where everyone wants attention, become the one who does not need it. In a world where everyone shows everything, become the one who reveals nothing. In a world where everyone shouts, become the one who speaks only when necessary. This contrast alone will elevate you above the crowd. People will start valuing you because value comes from scarcity. People will fear you because fear comes from unpredictability. People will respect you because respect comes from boundaries. And people will follow you because leadership comes from mystery, strength, and strategic presence, not from noise. The truly powerful stay unseen, not because they are weak, but because they understand that real power is not displayed. It is felt. It is not loud, it's quiet. It does not need validation. It stands on its own. The world must never know everything about you. They should know your results, not your process. They should see your success, not your struggle. They should hear your decisions, not your doubts. Your job is to build silently, move strategically, speak rarely, and appear purposefully. This is how legends are made. Not by being everywhere, but by being unforgettable when it matters. This is why the powerful stay unseen. Because the moment you master absence, you master influence. And the moment you stop showing up, people finally start noticing that power is never held by the one who exposes everything. It is held by the one who knows how to disappear at the right moment. Disappearance forces people to confront themselves, their assumptions, their insecurities about you. When you are always present, they become numb to your existence. But when you withdraw even subtly, they begin to question what it means. Your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. Silence becomes a message. Distance becomes influence. And this is something the average person never understands. They think influence comes from being everywhere, but influence actually comes from being missed. When people cannot predict where you are or what you are doing, they begin to think about you more. Their curiosity grows. Their imagination fills the empty spaces with exaggerated versions of your abilities. People will always fear the unknown more than the known. A predictable man can be controlled. An unpredictable man becomes untouchable. Machiavelli often stressed that a leader must maintain an element of surprise. Not necessarily through aggression, but simply through opacity. Opacity means others do not see your full self. They only see what you allow. You become the gatekeeper of your identity. You decide what leaks out. You decide what remains hidden. This selective visibility is an art. Most people expose their intentions without realizing it. They talk too much, post too much, explain too much, react too much. They want people to understand them. But the powerful do not want to be understood. They want to be respected. And respect grows from mystery, not transparency. People might like a transparent person, but they follow a mysterious one. They might enjoy spending time with the familiar, but they never worship the familiar. Familiarity kills reverence. Another powerful aspect of staying unseen is that it protects your emotional energy. The more people see you, the more they drain you. Every interaction demands something: attention, response, analysis, emotional labor. A powerful person cannot waste energy giving emotional supply to everyone around him. When you limit access to yourself, you automatically create scarcity, and scarcity produces value. People begin to think twice before calling you, before inviting you, before asking things from you. You no longer live in reaction mode. You live in creation mode. Your mind becomes clearer, your purpose sharper, your actions more controlled. Invisibility also enhances your strategic advantage. When you do not reveal your movements, you move freely. There is a saying, "A silent hunter gets the best hunt." This is true in politics, business, relationships, and personal development. Those who work silently experience fewer distractions. They face less competition. They make fewer enemies. And when they finally reveal their achievements, the world cannot deny them. People admire what appears sudden, not what appears forced. Machiavelli believed that human nature changes very little over time. People will always judge based on appearances. People will always attack what they envy. People will always feel threatened by someone rising too fast. This is why you must rise quietly, rise invisibly, rise without alerting the world until you have already secured your position. When you grow in silence, you eliminate resistance. You force people to adjust to your success after it happens, not fight you while it is happening. The unseen also controls the power of narrative. When people do not know your moves, they create stories. They build myths. Myths make men larger than life. Legends are born not because they spoke much, but because people spoke about them. A powerful person does not tell the world who he is. The world tells itself. And the less you reveal, the more they create. And what they create often becomes far greater than reality. There is also a psychological effect. When you are invisible, people project their desires, fears, and expectations onto you. You become a canvas for their imagination. They see in you what they want to see. They assume you have qualities you may or may not possess. You become a symbol instead of a person. And symbols are powerful. They inspire, they intimidate, they endure. Another vital point: staying unseen helps you avoid traps. When you are too visible, people set expectations. They wait for you to fail. They anticipate your mistakes. They study your patterns, but when you are unseen, no one knows what standards to hold you to. No one knows what moves to predict. You can reinvent yourself without resistance. You can pivot without criticism. You can grow without being constrained by your past. Invisibility grants freedom. Silence also exposes people around you. When you stop speaking, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop attending every gathering, you begin to see who truly values you. Those who only liked your presence disappear quickly. Those who relied on your availability become uncomfortable. Those who respected you from the beginning remain. Silence filters your social circle better than confrontation ever will. Distance also reveals who mirrors your energy. When you pull back, genuine people pull forward. Fake people fade away. This is powerful knowledge. Machiavelli understood that a leader must know who is loyal, who is neutral, and who is dangerous. Staying unseen forces people to show their true colors, and when someone shows you who they are in your absence, you learn more than you ever could while being present. The truly powerful also understand that attention is addictive. Once you begin to crave being seen, you hand over control to others. You let their reactions dictate your moves. You become dependent on validation. But when you master invisibility, you break addiction to attention. You stop living for applause. You start living for purpose. Your self-worth becomes internal, not external. And a person who needs nothing from others becomes the most dangerous person in the room. Staying unseen is also a form of discipline. It means you control your impulses. You resist the urge to prove yourself. You resist the need to correct others' opinions. You resist the temptation to show off your progress. This discipline strengthens your character. It teaches you patience, timing, and emotional control. And emotional control is the core of power. Machiavelli said that fortune favors the disciplined, not the impulsive. A powerful person knows how to weaponize rarity. When you show up rarely, your presence becomes a signal that something important is happening. People listen more carefully. They observe more closely. They analyze your body language, your words, your choices. Your impact multiplies because it is not diluted by constant availability. You do not need to speak loudly, you need to speak rarely. Rarity gives weight. Even in personal relationships, this principle holds true. When you maintain your individuality, your private life, your ambitions separate from others, you become someone people respect, not someone they consume. Too much closeness suffocates respect. Too much exposure kills admiration. This is why the powerful always keep a part of themselves hidden. They share parts of their life, but never their whole life. They give access, but never full access. Being unseen is not about physical disappearance. It is about spiritual and psychological elevation. It is about transcending the need to be everywhere. It is about understanding that your value does not come from presence, but from selective presence. It is about walking into a room and having people feel your energy because they see you rarely, not because you have been trying to impress them. This is why the truly powerful stay unseen. Not out of weakness, not out of fear, but because they understand that visibility is not always strength. Sometimes invisibility is. Sometimes the greatest move you can make is to take a step back. Sometimes the strongest statement you can make is to say nothing. Sometimes the most powerful presence is absence. You must become someone who is not easily accessed, not easily understood, not easily predicted. You must become someone who builds in silence, moves in silence, and strikes at the right moment. Because in the end, power is not about how often you show up. It is about how deeply they feel you when you do. The power of staying unseen also lies in the way it redirects your focus inward. When you are no longer performing for the eyes of others, you begin to see yourself with clarity. You are no longer influenced by noise, opinions, or comparisons. You stop measuring your life by the attention you receive and start measuring it by the progress you make. This internal shift transforms your identity. You stop chasing validation and start chasing mastery. You stop trying to impress others and start trying to improve yourself. And improvement done in silence is always more honest, more disciplined, and more effective. When you are unseen, you become harder to judge. People cannot categorize you. They cannot place limits on you. They cannot define you. When you spend too much time in public view, people begin to box you in. They decide who you are before you decide it for yourself. But when you remain selectively invisible, you escape their definitions. You become fluid, flexible, unpredictable. Your identity remains your own, not a reflection controlled by the crowd. This invisibility gives you the freedom to evolve. You can change without resistance because no one is watching closely enough to notice every step. You can transform quietly until the transformation is undeniable. This is how the powerful rise, slowly, silently, and then suddenly. People think the rise was instant, but it was built in the shadows. The shadows are where power grows. Light is where results are shown. Machiavelli observed that a man who is overly visible becomes overly vulnerable. The more people see of you, the more they know where to strike. They understand your patterns, your weaknesses, your desires. They learn how to manipulate you. But when you stay unseen, even the people closest to you never fully understand how you think. And when people cannot understand you, they cannot predict you. This unpredictability becomes your armor. Unpredictability also gives you negotiating power. When people do not know whether you will say yes or no, whether you will show up or not, whether you will agree or disagree, they become cautious. They treat you with respect. They prepare carefully before approaching you. They do not assume access. They request it. You shift from being someone who seeks opportunities to someone who creates them. Remaining unseen also protects you from emotional manipulation. Many people try to influence others through guilt, sympathy, or emotional pressure. But when you maintain distance, when you do not emotionally expose yourself, these tactics fail. You become immune to the emotional traps that catch most people. This emotional detachment does not make you cold. It makes you strong. It allows you to think with clarity instead of reacting from impulse. Another aspect of unseen power is the aura it creates. Aura is something you cannot manufacture through constant presence. It can only be built through selective absence. Aura is the sense that there is more to you than what is visible. It is the feeling that you know things others don't, that you see things others miss, that you carry experiences others cannot imagine. Aura is created when people feel your depth but cannot fully understand it, and that requires invisibility. A person who is always explaining, always talking, always performing has no aura. He is too exposed. When you remain unseen, you also develop patience. You learn to wait for the right moment to reveal your strength. Timing is everything in power. Machiavelli taught that acting too early is as dangerous as acting too late. You must learn to move only when the moment guarantees maximum impact. And you can only do this when you are not pressured by constant visibility. A person who is always performing must act quickly. A person who is unseen can act precisely. Distance also gives you leverage in relationships. When you remove your presence, people begin to seek it. When you stop giving attention, people start craving it. When you stop showing up for everyone, those who valued you will move toward you. Those who never cared will disappear, and those who took you for granted will feel the discomfort of your absence. Absence opens eyes, presence closes them. People often claim they want to be respected, but they behave in ways that destroy respect. They cling, they explain, they overdo, they overshare. Respect comes from restraint, not release. When you hold back, when you choose your moments, when you keep certain parts of yourself private, people sense your value. They sense that you cannot be approached lightly. They sense that you are not desperate for attention or approval. This alone separates you from 99% of the world. Staying unseen also reduces conflict. When you are always present, you inevitably step on the wrong toes. You attract envy, rivalry, and unnecessary challenges. But when you move quietly, opposition is minimal because most people don't even know what you're doing. You remove yourself from the battlefield until you are ready to win. And by the time people notice, the game is already over. Another powerful thing happens when you limit your presence. You create a sense of elevation. People begin to imagine that you are doing extraordinary things in your absence, even if you were simply focusing on yourself. They assume you are working on big plans. They assume your silence has meaning. They assume your distance has purpose. Because people tend to exaggerate the unknown, they elevate you beyond reality. This psychological elevation increases your influence without you having to say a word. You also gain control over your emotions when you reduce your exposure. The more you interact with the world influences your emotions. But when you remain unseen, your emotional world stabilizes. You regain control over your reactions. You stop feeling the need to respond to everything. You grow comfortable in your own aura, your own silence, your own path. And most importantly, staying unseen teaches you the value of inner strength. Inner strength is something that does not require witnesses. It grows in private. It grows in silence. It grows when you are alone with your thoughts, your ambitions, your fears, and your discipline. A powerful person's foundation is built when no one is watching. What people see later is only the finished structure, not the construction. Machiavelli understood that the one who shows his cards loses before the game even starts. The one who keeps his cards close, who moves subtly, who reveals little, becomes the most dangerous player. Because no one knows what he holds, how he thinks, or when he will strike. This is why the truly powerful stay unseen. Not because they hide from the world, but because they understand the world. They understand human nature. They understand psychology. They understand timing. They understand scarcity. They understand that visibility is a trap and mystery is a throne. When you stop showing up, you stop chasing. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you start attracting, you do not need force. Your aura does the work. Your presence becomes a privilege. Your attention becomes a reward. Your silence becomes a lesson. Your distance becomes a message. And one day when you finally choose to appear, the world will realize that you were never gone. You were only becoming powerful.